All right, folks, we are back on the W.A.D.E concept presented by The Ring Magazine, and today we are looking into the camp of Jake Paul as he prepares for the Anthony Joshua fight, and I am getting more and more worried for Jake's health as we get closer and closer to this fight, because today not only has Jake Paul let us see that he has a massive black eye from sparring the heavyweights in his camp, which we've talked about in previous videos are good heavyweights, maybe not the greatest in the world, but heavyweights nonetheless that I think would be beaten by Anthony Joshua. We also have Anthony Joshua looking oiled up. Listen, I'm not here to glaze, but it looks like they put some of that on him. Pause. But also looking like an absolute monster that Jake's going to have to beat in a boxing match. So we're going to break all that down today and why I think Jake is not only in the worst trouble of his career, but why I think this decision is looking more and more reckless as we get closer. Jake is in big trouble, no doubt about it. If he gets touched on the chin with anything from Anthony Joshua, hands or otherwise, this is going to go very badly. But let's get into why I think this is more dangerous now than I've even imagined. Reality is setting in, and it only spells defeat and disaster for Jake Paul. Why? The breakdown. Let's go. What I really want to talk about is some of the stuff that happened on this Aiden Ross stream yesterday from Jake, and then there's an MVP Uncut episode going over the day that they went for their press conference, all that stuff that we need to talk about as well. But let's go to this really quick. Let's take a look at this.
Wait, is your eye okay? How'd that happen? Who are you sparring?
I'm sparring a bunch of world champion heavyweights. I think Lawrence Okoli did that to me. He's like 6'6", 270.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. What are you weighing right now?
I'm like 250.
So this is interesting. Number one, Jake talks about getting his eye blacked by Lawrence Okoli. He talks about getting his eye blacked by Lawrence Okoli, who is a legit like 6'5", 6'6". He might actually be 270 right now because Okoli tends to get, let's just be honest, tends to get fat when he doesn't have a fight coming up or when he's out of camp a little bit. So that isn't surprising. Now, initially, you're going to look at this and people are going to say, oh my God, Jake's getting fucked up in sparring. And that could be the case. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have any insights as to what's been going on recently. I have heard from people that I know that Jake has been doing well in sparring, that Jake is holding his own against some of these heavyweights. And that could be an encouraging sign for Jake Paul fans if you're out there, the tens or hundreds of you. That's a joke. Relax. But it also could mean that guys like Lawrence Okoli, and especially if it's your right eye, if Jake's getting hit in his right eye, that usually would mean that he's getting jabbed, because that jab in orthodox would come out from the left hand on the right eye side constantly, or got jabbed big time with a one big shot, or, and this may be even more of a bad thing for Jake Paul, he's gotten hit with a hard left hook, one that he didn't see because it was right on his eye. And it looks like it landed pretty flush, as you can kind of see here. Question is, which one of those two things is happening? And question is, how is it going down? Because what we know about Anthony Joshua is that he has a nasty lead hook. And he's going to have a reach advantage on Jake, just like Lawrence Okoli does in the gym, which is why Jake has brought him in. So that jab's going to be effective. That lead hand of AJ is going to be effective. How does Jake maneuver around that? And again, you can look at this a couple of ways. One, okay, you get hit with it in camp, so you don't get hit with it in the fight, which is why you bring these heavyweights in. It's why you bring Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, Frank Sanchez in. Or two, there's a massive flaw in what Jake's doing, that he's continually getting hit with this, and the indication that he's getting hit by Okoli means he's going to get hit the same way with Anthony Joshua. I tend to believe a little bit of both, right? You do this so that it doesn't happen, but also how much can Jake really learn and to avoid something that's coming out with the jab or with the lead hook, or just again the distance control and the range of a guy like Okoli and a guy like AJ that Jake just can't make up for. Physically, he's not the size of those guys. He's not 6'6". He doesn't have a 80-plus inch reach, right? It's just not who he is. It's not physically possible for him. So can you work on things to not get hit with that jab? Sure, but how much will it convert in the short amount of time he has to get ready for AJ, and the transition from Gervonta Davis to AJ, and the fact that Jake is just not as good as a world championship level boxer, which is kind of what you need to beat AJ, or you need to catch him while AJ lets his guard down to try to attack. It's one of those two things. This is the worst I've seen Jake look after sparring or at any time during his camps, and maybe there's been times where he's not on camera, but you can tell the levels are higher and the risk is higher and the danger is higher this time around because of how his eye looks. He's probably getting hit harder, getting fucked up worse in sparring than he ever has. Now, he has said that the heavyweights he's sparring, it's actually easier for him and he's not getting hit as much, but that black eye is not the same indication as to what he's saying. So either he's embellishing a bit and this is harder than he thought, or harder than in anything else he's ever done as far as the sparring, the training for this match, or he got caught with something big, and that's the only big shot he's been hit with. Regardless, yes, it means Jake is getting good sparring, and that's a good sign, right? It's getting good work. It's preparing him for the fight, but it also means he's been hit with something that he didn't see, and it was fucking hard. I'm gonna tell you something. If that happens in this fight, and really it just takes one, and I'm not saying Jake's gonna get knocked out with a jab, who knows, but if it's a hook on his chin and not his eye, or it's a right hand on his fucking cheek and on his jaw, it just takes one at heavyweight. 10-ounce gloves, it just takes one. And if that black guy is any indication as to getting hit with hard punches in sparring, I'm going to be honest, that's not a great thing when it comes to the fight. Let's also take a look at this MVP Uncut, Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua 2 weeks out. This was them basically at the press conference for the first time, some behind-the-scenes stuff. Let's take a look.
I think the only person who's even remotely taken a risk like this was Canelo moving up to fight Bivol. A 7-pound difference. This is 40.
I mean, Crawford moving up to fight Canelo was a massive risk, even though you could say, okay, Canelo wasn't Canelo, blah, blah, blah. I disagree. I think that Crawford coming up to fight Canelo and winning was a massive risk for him, but Jake's risk here is greater than both of those, in my opinion, because Terrence Crawford was world championship level, and Canelo was not really a 168-pounder throughout his career, although he's won belts there and been very successful. And even when Canelo jumped to 175, Bivol is world-class, but so is Canelo. Jake is making this jump after not beating anyone in the top 100 in any weight class ever, outside of, again, a gifted ranking for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., to then fighting a top 5 heavyweight on the, maybe top 10, but top 5, in my opinion, heavyweight on the planet in Anthony Joshua. This is far bigger risk health-wise, right? Jake doesn't have to win, which makes the risk, I guess, a little less, whatever. But as far as just his health and safety, it's just way, way, way more risky.
I don't think people really want to risk losing or having a tough challenge or risk getting knocked out. But then essentially you're not even doing what the sport is. You're not giving the fans what they want in these massive fights. That's why KSI is scared, Tommy Fury's scared. That's why Tyson Fury and AJ haven't fought. Like, the list goes on of how many major fights haven't happened because of people being scared.
I genuinely don't think, dude, look at AJ's eyes. Those are terrifying. I genuinely don't think that KSI is scared of Jake Paul. I think Tommy Fury's just a flat-out fucking idiot. I'll be honest with you. I think he's a moron for not taking the money that has been offered to him, and essentially for not trying to work out a way for his visa to be restated, right? He can't go to America right now because of associations that he has with his brother and how his brother has association to the Kinahan Mafia. I'm sure that could be taken care of as long as they would actually sit down and do it. But it feels like the Furies hold that as a leveraging kind of bargain thing for them. Like, no, we can't go to America, so you have to do things our way, which I think is stupid. He beat Jake, sure, but like, the guy can't sell out a barn without anyone of substance beside him. So Tommy, I think, is a moron. I think JJ and Jake both are trying to do the massive ego play, and it'll never work. But I don't think either of them are quote-unquote scared of losing. I think it's more just they can't no one can drop their egos, or Tommy just can't be a normal thinking human and not brain dead.
He looks intense, focused, locked in. He's obviously very, very tall. Looking up, my tallest opponent. My eyes are at his, chest level. But yeah, he's locked in. I'm locked in. I don't think there's fear in his eyes or in my eyes. But this is what we signed up for, and he's very tall, but that means I can use my speed and my size to my advantage as well.
Jake keeps mentioning how tall he is. I think I know he says he's not worried about it. I think he's a little worried about it. Yeah, he's tall. He's big and tall. He's tall, but I have my size, and he's tall. He's real tall. Hey guys, I don't know if you know, AJ's fucking tall for sure. He's 6'6", and I think what Jake, he's saying he's not scared, and I don't think Jake is scared. I think he has got a screw loose, and I think he's delusional to the highest order, which makes him successful. But I think there is a bit of trepidation over AJ's size, frame, maybe not speed. I think he has more speed than Jake's giving him credit for. Speed and power, right? If Jake can't maneuver around the jab, everything else is cooked. If he can't get around AJ's jab, if AJ is going to come into this more boxing heavy approach and really try to show levels and then unload the power, then I think Jake's absolutely fooked. But if he can get around the jab, get inside, he can create some stuff, we'll see. But if he can't maneuver the jab, it's over with.
I think it's watching his Dubois fight, watching the Ruiz fight, even watching the Usyk fight, and when you look at it, he's lost to guys who are smaller than him.
He says that again. I think that's his weakness, right? What he really means is that AJ's weakness is guys that are better boxers than him, that are more fluid and more naturally equipped to handle stylistic boxing holes in AJ's game. Let's not forget, AJ started boxing at 18 years old, right? Him and Jake are not so dissimilar in that way, right? They started boxing really late in life, and they both picked it up very quickly because after AJ started, about 5 years later, he won a freaking gold medal. So yeah, he picked up the sport really, really quickly, and it's because of his size and his athleticism and everything that being 6'6" and 250 and knowing how to turn over punches does for you. But there is a bit of a learning curve when it comes to the actual sweet science of the sport, the hitting and not getting hit, the being able to manipulate people into entering range, even if they do have a longer reach and a longer frame to get to the spot you want to get to. Usyk did that. Ruiz, I think, more so took advantage of AJ's recklessness. Dubois took advantage of the fact that AJ, I don't know what was going on in his brain that night, but he just did not look locked in. I don't know if he didn't take Dubois as seriously as he should have, or he thought he was just going to walk through him. Dubois was not scared of him at all. And not saying, again, Jake is, but does Jake have the same qualities as the people he's talking about to take advantage of AJ's weaknesses? Does he have the feet, the IQ, the hand speed, the ability to create traps and walk AJ into them? I don't think so. So while I don't disagree what he's talking about, the smaller guys potentially being a weakness for AJ, it's because the smaller guys have advantages in technique and skill that AJ doesn't, and I don't know that Jake possesses that.
I think it's his, it's his weakness. His kryptonite is the faster guys who don't get hit by his big punches.
Again,
that's definitely a bit chinny. He's durable. He gets back up. He knows how to fight when he's hurt, and he's still dangerous when he's hurt. True. But I do see holes where I can land big shots. Again, I don't disagree with a lot of the analysis there. Him being chinny, again, it's heavyweight boxing. Anybody gets hit and you could call him chinny. But I don't know. It's more than just being fast and not getting hit, right? It's more than that. You can't just be a fast guy with fast feet that just doesn't get hit. It's easy to say, and Jake knows that, but again, I don't hate the analysis. I just don't know if his skill level and his ability backs the analysis he's making. Being in the gym, taking my licks.
This is still just one of the craziest face-offs I've ever seen.
We're in the Heat arena.
Smoke!
I'm a big Heat fan. Miami's on fire. This is my first pro fight was in Miami against Gibb. I'm bringing that same energy here. First round KO.
I mean, I admire.
What, bro? Bro, come on, dude. Come on. If, again, in some world that actually happened, boxing in the UK has to die. If that happens. Boxing as a whole has to take a look in the mirror if Jake walks out and knocks out Anthony Joshua in the first round. This is why I said AJ has the most pressure maybe on any boxer ever with this fight, because it's not for a world title, but it's essentially for the legitimacy of the sport. Like, without saying it, not because Jake doesn't have actual legitimate, boxing match, nothing like that, but because Jake shouldn't be in a ring with Anthony Joshua ever in his career. From when he started to what he is right now, Jake has not shown the skill, the ability yet to be in a ring with any former champion that's still in the game at heavyweight. So he's able to not only go in there, I said survive more than 3 rounds, but knock AJ out? Dude, the sport will have to drop a nuclear bomb on the sport, all of it.
I'm honored to be here. I'm happy to be here. I think December 19th is going to be crazy though. I think the center's going to be buzzing, just crazy energy in that room. I think it's going to be really good. So now, remember, I took a year out of the game to refresh because I was just piling on more and more baggage. I just feel fresh. I feel rejuvenated. It wasn't like I took the year out in vain. I had a purpose, and now I'm just living. No, you look fresh. I feel good, man. I feel good. I've been training hard. I'm close to the weight that I need to be at for the fight. I feel good. He's done me a favor. Walking around bulky and heavy. I feel quick. I feel amazing. So I'm looking forward to the fight.
Oh no, dude, the weight's gonna backfire now too. That's what you're telling me? You're telling me that Jake having AJ cut the weight down to 245 is actually gonna make him more of a machine? It's gonna help his gas tank. It's gonna help him be lighter and quicker on his feet. The things that Jake said he's not. It's gonna help him feel more loose and not as stiff. Fuck! Backfiring again. Everything. Damn, dude. Because he's already a big guy, and that makes sense. One of the things that you naturally do in a boxing camp is lose weight by doing cardio and obviously training and sparring and everything. But now all you're doing is having AJ get in better shape because he's just going to run more. He's already on weight, apparently. By the way, this him saying this all was from a video 3.5 weeks ago. But when you go to AJ's Twitter, this is December 4th, as of 3 days ago. That's 110 kg, aka 243 pounds. He's already on weight, dude. Oh no. That was fucking easy, dude. And again, that makes it more terrifying because now you have AJ who is clearly taking this seriously. That's the number one indicator, that he's on weight already. Number two, the fact that he's on weight means that he's already training hard. He's been doing cardio. And number three, like he said, it gives him another reason to stay light, agile on his feet. And we all know even if it's 240, if it's 250, if it's 260, AJ has one punch separate your senses from your body capability. It doesn't matter if he's 240. His chin isn't stronger at 260 than it is at 240 anyway, so this just makes him faster and more agile.
I think he is a smart operator. I think he's managed to put a good team around him to help him achieve his wildest dreams. I think he's a smart young man. So I don't want to focus on it being like about Jake. Oh, Jake's small, so that makes me confident. Jake's this, so that makes me confident. I'm just focused on myself. I'm confident in myself. Jake could be 10th, I'm confident in myself. That's what I'm saying. It's not about how he is. I just really I've got a good team. I've been through ups and downs.
Jake could be a, world ranked boxer. I'm confident. Jake could be an actual heavyweight. I'm confident. Like, just say what it is. Like, I like that mindset from AJ, but just say what it is. Yes, this feels like a lot easier fight than AJ's had in probably the last 5 to 10 years of his career, because Jake is an undersized cruiserweight. Let's be honest. I think Jake could be a light heavyweight. No joke. But Jake has put on the weight. He can crack. And he's willing to bet on himself, so there's that. But there's more than just AJ being confident because he's confident in himself. This is a fight he should win easily.
So I said, I don't think Jake's crazy. He's a realist. He's a logical man, and he wants to fight. He wants to fight good fight.
Those are the opposite of the things that Jake is. He is not logical or a realist, and he is crazy. And he'll even tell you that those things are not what describes him. If he was a realist, he'd be back in Ohio doing whatever the realistic option was for him, just graduating college, getting into carpentry. Jake is successful and has reached his wildest dreams, as AJ said there, because he's none of those things. Not logical, not a realist, and I think he would tell you those things himself, that he is delusional. He has delusional confidence. And to a degree, I think that's very admirable. I think those are things that all of us should take away from this story. As much as we're going to take away, like Jake may be eating through a straw after this fight, what we would really take away, what we should take away, is the fact that, yes, AJ has a lot of pressure on him here to put Jake away, but Jake being so delusional and risking so much is why he has gotten so much reward out of the sport and really out of his life.
I said, wow, this is a great opportunity to showcase myself to the whole world.
Oh my God.
And God willing, my prayers are answered and I get the job done and I hurt Jake in spectacular fashion and I get a victory. And Jake called me directly. He called me. He didn't call my team. Jake called me. I said, okay, no problem, no problem.
Easy money.
Not easy money. We'll see. I'll let you know December 19th, December 20th.
You even see how blown away that AJ is that Jake called him directly for this fight. That fighters don't usually do that. Even fighters that know each other well aren't calling each other to be like, yo, let's get this thing going. That's the difference in the kind of wave Jake has made. And again, it's insane to do, but to call out a behemoth like Anthony Joshua, let's run it. Because not only do you awaken the beast, but you also piss him off a little bit to be like, oh, okay, you think that this is just sweet. You could just call me and do this. Again, I think these things are going to backfire heavy on Jake, but it shows what his mindset is.
Even when you're not punching, you're feeling an immense amount of pressure. And it takes a seasoned athlete to be able to deal with that pressure. Some people want to take a walk, they want to look for space in the ring. Sometimes fighters will have a silent agreement where it's like, all right, you're not going to punch, I'm not going to punch. And we're just looking at each other. I'm not that kind of fighter. I'm going to be putting pressure on you even when you're not punching. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with that type of pressure. And it takes a seasoned type of athlete to know how to deal with that.
Dude, they're literally filming this like he's Ivan Drago. It's kind of crazy. But I love what he said there. If you guys listen to what AJ's actually saying in that little interview, I don't even know if that's an interview or if they just had him mic'd up and he was talking boxing, but he is essentially like, let's see what Jake does when the pressure doesn't stop. A lot of guys that Jake has fought, they'll pressure him for their attacks, and then they'll either let him skate out the back door, Jake can circle and then reset the action, or they won't follow up on the pressure after they've attacked. They'll just stop, and now it's his turn to go, right? This has been one of the biggest things that Jake has, I won't say gotten away with, but that guys haven't capitalized on with Jake in his career, is that when you constantly pressure him, and again, one of the guys that did this was Tommy Fury. It was with his jab mostly. It wasn't with like his hulking size and just his presence and his ability to stay in front of Jake just by that. He was doing it with his jab, which was very good. But what AJ is saying is exactly how you should fight Jake. Try to push him on his back foot, constantly pressure him, not recklessly, but just with the presence of mind to be in his face, even after attacks, or following up on pressure and an attack with more pressure, and see how his feet deal with that. If Jake thinks his footwork is immaculate and better than AJ's, let's see how it is, right? Let's see what it looks like when you're pushed backward, because some of the most feared punchers in the history of the heavyweight division couldn't move backward. And Jake has shown he can go straight back with a high guard and then throw his stuff out. But what happens when the pressure is there with attacks? Can you pivot out? Can you change angles? Can you walk someone into dead space and be a good boxer with power on your back foot? Jake has power on his back foot when guys walk straight at him. But what if that pressure's constant and it's not just one time and it's not just a blitz or one thing at a time? Then what? All right, so there you have it. A couple things. Jake gets a massive black eye in sparring. It can be good. It also can be a problem depending on what's happened, how he adjusts to it, what AJ likes to do, and what Jake can do to prevent that from happening again. AJ making a lot of sense, talking about what he wants to do in this Jake Paul fight, how he wants to approach it, putting pressure on Jake constantly without being reckless, without being out of control, just seeing what he does. Again, the fight within the fight, all of it just spells a disaster for Jake Paul, I'll be honest. This spells disaster, which is why I commend him for doing it, but I don't understand it. And I don't think I ever will understand it. Sure, it makes a ton of money, but does dollars always make sense, people? When his life, and I don't mean that hyperbolically, Jake's actual career and life hang in the balance when it comes to the damage he could receive from Anthony Joshua. If that black eye tells the story of what's going on when Lawrence Okolie hits him, when Frank Sanchez hits him, when Jared Anderson hits him, yes, those are high-level heavyweights, and AJ is better than they are. I don't know. Doesn't look good, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe AJ doesn't come in the greatest shape or doesn't take Jake as seriously. Maybe Jake getting, the hard sparring he's getting right now is going to elevate him, even in the short time period he has to get prepared for AJ, but I don't have the answers. So we're only a week and change away. What happens with Jake and AJ? Guess we'll find out.